Welcome to Sleek Notes E-commerce Boost podcast, your chance to learn from the e-commerce experts so you can boost your business.
Hi guys. In this episode, you get introduced to the hierarchy of subscriber needs, which is this really cool system that works as a guideline on how to create fantastic emails that are both relevant, functional, and maybe even outstanding. You'll also find out what 3 subscriber acquisition sources you should avoid and which ones to definitely go for. All of these goodies are brought to you by Chad White, who's the research director of Litmus, and Litmus is a web-based email design, testing and analytics platform. Chad, welcome so much on this show. Really excited to have you here.
Thanks for having me.
If you could just start out by presenting yourself, that would be great.
Sure. My name is Chad White. I'm the research director at Litmus Software, and I'm also the author of the book Email Marketing Rules, which everyone can find at Amazon.com. I've been in the email marketing space for a bit over a decade now, mainly doing research into what industry best practices are, what the industry trends are. So essentially researching all of you that are listening and seeing what you guys are doing and what's working and what's not working.
So I know this is a part of your book, and this is what we're going to be talking about as well today, the hierarchy of subscriber needs. Could you just, to get started, give us a quick overview of the concept?
Sure. So the hierarchy of subscriber needs is sort of a framework to understand what subscribers are looking for when they sign up for emails from a brand. And there's 4 levels of the hierarchy. At the sort of the base of the pyramid, they're looking for respectful email experiences. And what that boils down to is, what your permission practices are, clear expectation setting, the management of inactive subscribers. So a lot of stuff around sort of permission and expectation setting. And then sitting on top of that, subscribers are really looking for functional email experiences. And that has to deal with quality assurance, making sure that your emails render appropriately across various platforms, accessibility, load times. So all the stuff that kind of goes into creating an email experience that not only works how the brand wants it to function, no broken links, no broken images, that kind of stuff, but also not frustrating the subscriber. I mean, there's nothing worse than a subscriber being interested in your message and then clicking on a link and landing somewhere where they're lost or they're confused or like it's a broken link or what have you. So you don't want that to happen and frustrate them. So if you get respectful right and functional right, the next layer up from that is valuable. And this is where a lot of energy is currently being expended. This is where all the really cool things are happening. AI and predictive analytics and all this really cool, fancy stuff, big data analysis, like that kind of stuff is making sure that you're sending people really incredible like personalization, sending great segmented emails, great triggered messages, A/B testing. All these kinds of things are all about creating valuable email experiences for subscribers. And at the tippy top of the pyramid, subscribers are really looking for remarkable email experiences, at least occasionally. And these are exceptional deals, exceptional content, exceptional experiences. And a lot of that can be kind of old school, but obviously there's new stuff like interactive emails that allow us to do some fancy stuff in emails that can really surprise and delight subscribers and give them something unexpected. So those are the 4 layers.
But I was just thinking, what's the largest difference between a valuable email and a remarkable email?
Yeah, so it's sort of like an order of magnitude. I mean, you're looking to generate value on a consistent basis, and really a remarkable email experience is sort of taking it up like multiple fold. Like really, I guess maybe the best way of describing it is like really surprising them. You can deliver consistent value and not be surprising them or kind of like shocking them in a good way. So remarkable is sort of taking it up a level. And I think the main way to communicate the difference between those two is, I have some metrics around how you measure if you're hitting each of those levels. And so when we're talking about creating valuable experiences, we're really looking at things like conversions and revenue generation via email. But if you want to talk about creating a remarkable experience, you're crossing the threshold into getting your subscribers to share that experience, to forward that email, to talk about it on social media. So you can have that nice, valuable experience, and it doesn't propel people to become evangelists or to talk about that particular message. So that's the difference between the two.
Oh, great. Because I was just going to ask you actually what metrics we can use to indicate how well we're doing at the different stages.
Sure. So starting, I guess we'll go in reverse order this time. So remarkable, again, we're looking at forwards and sort of social shares. At that valuable level, you're looking at conversions and email revenue. And then a step down at that functional level, you're really looking at clicks for the most part. So that email content is working, it's engaging them and generating interest and intent and getting them to click through. And then at that base level, you can measure, this is where it gets a little bit tricky, but you're primarily looking at opens and unsubscribes and spam complaints. And the position of spam complaints in here is a little bit tricky. Actually, I did some research into why consumers report emails as spam, and I think traditionally we think of it as being a problem with that respectful email experience. But what our research found is that actually nowadays the definition of spam has become so broad that if you fail to create functional experiences, that can also lead to spam complaints. And if you fail to create valuable experiences, that also leads to spam complaints. And even having like sort of remarkably negative experiences can also cause spam complaints. So spam complaints is a little bit diffuse across all the levels of being an indicator of you not being able to meet subscriber needs. But certainly early on in a relationship, spam complaints is very much an indicator of a lack of respect for the subscriber. We like to think of email as being separate and being its own thing, and as email marketers, we like I guess sort of functionally we need to like focus on our domain, but consumers and subscribers aren't really thinking about our brands in these sort of siloed, channeled ways. They're very much thinking of the experiences they have with an email from a brand as being part of that brand experience. So if you look at it that way, that it's not surprising that if they have a negative brand experience offline in a store or at an event or what have you, that they very much in their minds connect that same brand experience to the emails. So the emails are part of the bigger brand interaction. And when they have negative brand interactions, that can come back to penalize email.
Oh,
Omnichannel.
wow. Yeah.
Everything's omnichannel.
Everything's
very
connected.
much in consumers' mind.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything's connected.
Coming up, Chad explains the importance of context and goes over how you should tailor your email approach depending on the context. Here's Chad again.
Yeah, I mean, if you're talking about trying to get off on the right foot with a good, respectful, beginning to a relationship, then yes, the sign-up process, that's where it all kind of starts. And I guess even before you get to whatever kind of form you're talking about, I always like to take it back a step from that and talk about context. What is the context in which you're trying to get people to sign up? Are they in your store? Are they on your website? Are they on your social media page? Are they at an event or a trade show? What is that context? And within that context, how clear is it that person is familiar with your brand? So I think there's the approach changes depending on how far away from the core of your brand that you are. So if someone is, for instance, on your website and is buying something from you, so like an opt-in opportunity at checkout, you have a lot of assurances that person understands who you are and understands the brand and probably has at least some understanding of what value you offer, right?
Yeah.
But if they're interacting with you on social media, if they're interacting with you at maybe a trade show, the chances are significantly higher that they may not fully understand who you are. So that changes the context, and that changes how you need to message, how clear you need to be, and it also changes how you should get permission from folks.
To me, it sounds like, depending on how aware they are of you and your brand and your story, you don't have to be as clear. So during checkout, you can say, oh yeah, get more product info, sign up.
Yeah, and that's exactly true. So yeah, like an online, an e-commerce checkout is probably the best example where you have pretty clear indication that that person understands your brand. They're willing to spend money with you. So you've already gotten them over like a number of thresholds to get to that point. So if you're asking for someone to opt in at that point, again, I'm not a lawyer. Laws change all over the world, but certainly in the U.S., that's a place where I would probably have a pre-checked box that's very evident, not hidden or anything, but very an easy to see pre-checked box saying that we're going to send you deals or content or whatever it is that you want to send them, and again, you're not hiding it or anything, so it's very clear and conspicuous. But that's a place where I would very seriously think about having a pre-check box, because that is a person who understands your brand, at least on a pretty fundamental level, and is willing to give you money. That's a place where having a pre-check's like single opt-in. I wouldn't double opt-in that person in most cases. That's sort of the archetype at one end of the spectrum. Toward the other end of the spectrum, let's say you have someone who is on your Facebook page and you have a tab where you allow people to sign up for emails. That's a little bit less clear of a content. I guess that's sort of like in the middle, in the gray middle area.
Yeah.
Where that's someone who maybe probably understands you, but maybe was attracted to your social media page not because of anything that you offered, but maybe because of some social issue or something else that got their attention. And so in that case, you would want that sign up to be an active sign up, where they had to put in their email address and maybe, potentially some other information so you could understand kind of where they're coming from and how you can serve them. And then like very clear language about, what it is that you're going to send them. So essentially excelling a little bit harder on the value of the email that you're going to be sending them, maybe having some thumbnails that they can click through to see examples of the kinds of emails that they're going to get. So you have to sell a little harder. And then if you go further down the spectrum, maybe it's like a co-registration, or maybe you've done a list rental and you're sending a message to someone trying to get them to opt in to receive emails from you. In those situations, you can assume very little understanding of your brand, and you're going to have to really explain the value of signing up for emails. And those are situations where I would very much advocate strongly for a double opt-in, where you send an email to that email address that they sign up with, asking them, please confirm your subscription. That way you've got a nice closed loop, and you're sure that that person is indeed interested.
Okay, interesting. Because I was just thinking, when you're talking about the different context and the way to communicate, should you then enter them into different email flows in the beginning, depending on where they signed up, or no?
You certainly can. Yes, if you're capable of doing that, that can be really pivotal in terms of getting that relationship off on the right foot. Someone who just goes to your website and signs up, that's potentially a very different person than someone who signs up, through a tablet at a live event. And so you can definitely have a different welcome email or a series of welcome emails that really onboard that new subscriber in a much more relevant way. So yeah, absolutely. If you're able to do that, I do recommend that.
As you may have picked up, Chad isn't a massive fan of list rental, but he does have data to back him up. Well, of course he does. He's a research director. Well, find out what sources are the best to acquire subscribers and what to avoid.
So we did this really huge survey called the State of Email Survey. We surveyed over 3,500 marketers worldwide, and we asked them about 20 different subscriber acquisition sources and whether or not they were using each of these sources. And we just put out a report recently called the State of Email Deliverability. And in that report, we correlated acquisition source with the folks that had problems with either email blocking or being blacklisted. And so by looking, like sort of correlating those behaviors, we were able to kind of look at what were sort of the better sources and what were sort of what we called problematic sources.
Yeah.
And so talking about sort of the best sources, in general, these are sources that are really close to your brand. To my prior point about context, you're going to find better subscribers closest to your brand, closest to your sales operations, closest to your service operations. These are going to be folks who have just a better understanding of who you are and what value you bring. So sign-up forms that are on homepages, lead collection at live events, opt-ins during checkouts, registrations for webinars and other events, light boxes and pop-ups on your homepage or in your mobile app. Those kinds of things are sort of the top of the list in terms of usage. And you're right. There are definitely some sources that I do not like. And the tippy top of that list is purchasing a list, which a kind of shocking percentage of folks still do, which I do not advise. It is very dangerous. Ken McGill, who runs the McGill report, he has a great analogy that like buying an email list is like playing Russian roulette. And I think that's really frightening and apt analogy. You may get away with it, but chances are sooner or later you're just going to blow a giant hole in your email program and cause yourself just endless pain and possibly destroy your program. So I do not recommend that. So, but I also the other thing it was you picked up on my disdain for list rental and co-registration as well. And in those cases, I don't think that those are inherently bad, but I do feel like they're not always used appropriately. So for co-registration, for those of you who don't know what it is, essentially it's when I go to a brand's website and I go to sign up for email and they offer me an opportunity to sign up for emails from other brands. In general, that's problematic because of context, right? Like you have very limited assurances that I understand who that other brand is, and so there's potential for brand confusion and pretty high opportunity for subscriber remorse, where people sign up and then realize, oh wait, I didn't really want this, or I didn't understand what this brand offered. So that's where it gets dangerous. But where I like co-registration is when you have a family of brands. So the other thing is list rental. And list rental is really fascinating. When we looked at this in our research, it actually had a much higher correlation with like blacklisting and blocking issues than even list purchases. And when I saw that, I was incredibly confused, and I thought maybe I had messed up the data analysis.
Yeah.
And so I went back digging through and tried to figure out what it was. And then I developed a theory about what the problem was, and we actually did some additional survey work to confirm this theory, which was confirmed. And what was going on with list rental is that the archetypal list rental process isn't followed very often. And the way that a list rental should work is that another company has an audience, they have an email list, and you want to or reach out to their audience. You as a brand, as the renter of the list, would write a message, code a message that you would then hand off to that other brand who owns the list. They would then send your message to their subscribers using their sender name, their unsubscribe links. And then that message would allow you an opportunity to get clicks, hopefully conversions, or maybe even get new subscribers. The problem is that that's not the way that it typically works. If this is something that you do or are thinking about doing, I would advise you to make sure it's done in the right way and be very, very cautious about it.
So now we have the subscribers obviously collected in all the right places. How do you ensure relevant emails?
In general, during the opt-in process, I like to err on the side of having low barriers. So having sign-up forms that are just as short as they can possibly be, with the ideal being just an email address. I think that's like where everyone should be starting. And then if there are really compelling business reasons why you need additional information from the get-go, then you can ask for that. But start with that email address and then ask, what do I absolutely need? A really big missed opportunity is that sign-up confirmation page. So that confirmation page is not utilized well. Someone has just raised their hand. They've said, I like your brand. I want to hear more from you. They just gave you their email address. Like, you've got some momentum. Like, use that momentum on that sign up confirmation page to either A, drive them to take some high value actions, or B, get more information from them. They've just given you their email address. They've got some skin in the game. And so if you couch it in terms of, hey, we want to make sure that we're sending you, the best information in our emails. Can you tell us, which of these topics you're interested in?
So once you move on in your relationship, you can start asking for more and more information about the subscribers. If you would suggest e-commercers to do one thing tomorrow to improve their subscriber experience, what would that be?
I think the one thing I would advise them to do, I guess within the context of all that we've talked about here today, I think one of the big missed opportunities is understanding your subscribers by acquisition source. Look at all the different, let's just first take an inventory of all of your subscriber acquisition sources. Like, where can people sign up to get emails from you? Make sure that you fully understand all of those places. Make sure that you kind of audit each of those to make sure that they're functioning and that they have up-to-date messaging. A lot of times, I've seen several cases where brands have sort of lost control of their subscriber acquisition sources. In general, the brands that we surveyed have about 4.5 different subscriber acquisition sources, but some have as many as 10 or more. Make sure you understand where all those are.
That's such a good advice. I really think that's good.
Thank you.
Okay. So, Chad, thank you so much for your time. That was amazing.
Thank you for having me.
That's all from E-Commerce Boost and Chad White from Litmus. I really hope you enjoyed it. Are you looking for more ways to grow your business? If you give us a 5-star rating in iTunes and send me a screenshot of that, you can get your hands on our massive spreadsheet with a staggering 153 growth ideas, all rated based on difficulty, expected impact, and time. So rate this podcast, send me a screenshot of your rating on jf@sleeknote.com. The email is in the show notes as well. And we'll send you this amazing resource for free. Cheers!
This session of E-Commerce Boost was produced by Sleeknote. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss out on tactics and strategies that'll help boost your e-commerce.